Hey, old so-and-sos. I had to start over because I didn't hit record on Val's microphone. It was probably subconscious. Don't push your lower lip out at me, young lady.
Young lady?
Yeah.
Always make fun of me because I'm old.
Well, that's going to be a great noise. Val, how about you slide this around some more? These are jars that I forgot to store. So, this month is...
World Lupus Month? I can't talk.
This month is World Lupus Month. And if you're a lupus and you've been oppressed by the system, this is your month. It's
What do you
World
call it?
Lupus Month. World Lupus Month?
It's World Lupus Day, but like...
World Lupus Day is today.
It's
It is,
Lupus Awareness
as we speak,
Month?
May 10, the year of our Lord, 2025.
It's like the month for lupus, kind of like how they do October's like breast cancer awareness month or something.
And there are more diseases than there are months. So I think lupus has to share with...
Is it skin cancer or something? I don't know.
See, if those of you that have existed outside of the chronic disease world don't understand that they're a lot like street gangs. So the lupus people are like, skin cancer, nerds. This is our month. And Val's threatened many a skin cancer patient. I've seen it happen.
Nope.
You have so. Yes, you have.
No.
Yes, you have. No, so it's Lupus Awareness Month, and I understand that, you know, it's how do you put this? People are like, oh, it's another month for this and another But it is important to us because Val, you've had lupus for how many years now?
Well, I don't know. I've had symptoms longer than I was diagnosed, but about 21 years.
21 years. More than half your life.
Yeah.
So, and that number's ticking down.
My life?
All of ours are, right? What I mean is the years that you have not had lupus are now
more.
No, less than the years that you've had. Part of what lupus does is it makes your brain not work. No, it does, but that is true. That's a true thing.
Like I was just saying, I got busy with something else and forgot to brush my hair after washing it.
Yes.
Yes. It's time to open pop.
Yeah, why don't you give that one a shot?
Okay.
This slurp is for James Reed. Oh, I didn't want to. You made the opening face the microphone. That was really good.
I'm a professional.
You are a professional. That was great. So anyway, you've had lupus for 21 years. I mean, you had symptoms before you had a diagnosis. They used to call it a mixed connective tissue disease. Mm-hmm. I've taken you to every single appointment until we had Zoe, and then we've had to divide
and conquer. Yeah. Or sometimes I take her with me.
Yeah, she's a good little pal. But I remember there was a summer. I guess I'll just say this and make sure I get back to the summer thing because I lose track of things.
Okay.
But people always ask, like when I say, well, my wife almost needed to have a kidney transplant, and they go, why was that? And I say, well, because she has lupus. And then they say, oh, it's lupus. And they always say it like that with that voice. What's lupus? And I say, well, it's an autoimmune disease. Her body basically attacks itself. And that's what it is. It's an autoimmune disease. And depending on your physiology or the type of lupus you have, it attacks different parts of your body.
Yeah. Or multiple parts at the same time.
Yeah. So you have lupus nephritis. Your lupus attacks your kidneys. You almost had to have a kidney transplant 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of like when someone has a transplant and your body rejects that organ. I take anti-rejection drugs because it's like my body wants to reject my own kidneys.
Dumb body.
Somewhat. And so it causes scar tissue and all kinds of stuff in my kidneys and inflammation. And so I was down to like about 12% kidney function.
And that's kind of a misnomer because regular kidneys function at what percent?
90 to 100.
Okay, really?
Is normal. That's what,
Oh.
90-ish, I think. But yeah, now it's about like, it goes between about 30 and 40% right now. But some of that is also lowered because of some of the blood pressure medicine I take. And
Yeah.
so,
You take a handful of pills. I have to say, Caleb has always said that you've inspired him because, we don't want to take one medication. And then he goes, you know what? I complain about my one, I can't talk either. I complain about my one medication. And then I remember that and he'll say it this way, my sweet sister-in-law has to take handfuls of medications every day. But anyway, back to that summer. It was one of the summers we were in college, correct?
Yeah, it was 2004.
And you could barely move.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it just hit you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was that Christmas I noticed my hands would turn white when they got cold, and then they turn really purple, which is Raynaud's phenomenon. I didn't know that at the time.
That's a circulatory thing where your hands, your extremities don't get enough blood flow, right?
Like the circulation kind of cuts off if it gets cold. And that a lot of times goes along with lupus. And so, but I didn't know that. And then that spring, kind of leading up to the end of the school year, I just kept getting, a new joint would hurt all the time. And then it got to be where we went home from the school for the summer, and I could barely move. I couldn't get my socks and shoes on myself.
Chris had to help you.
Yeah, one of my brothers would put my socks
or
and
maybe
shoes
Josh.
on. Yeah, Josh would do it for me. And yeah, because I just couldn't, it hurt so bad. I couldn't bend down, and it hurt my hands to do it. And even just tying my shoes and all that fun stuff.
It's just pain in your joints.
Yeah.
And then
my back and everything.
What was that?
My back.
Was it your back?
It was my back.
It's from a Will Ferrell sketch we like. If you don't know it, then you're missing out. Anyway, so it went from attacking joints, ligaments, connective tissues, because they said mixed connective tissue disease. And then years down the road, there were liver issues.
I have a fatty liver. But
me too, probably. Anyway,
a lot of people do, and they just don't know about it.
Yeah, there were liver issues, but then there was a couple years there where you had pleuritic lupus, and it seemed like your lupus was attacking the lining around your lungs, which you would think, well, not that big of a deal. It's just the lining around your lungs. When you realize that fluid in the lining around your lungs basically helps you to move around without pain.
And every time you breathe, it hurts. So I would want to hold my breath and not breathe, but obviously you have to. So
it only hurts me when I cry.
It only hurts me when I breathe.
Nice.
Is that what you're going for?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Anyway. But yeah, I'm trying to think of a way to work that into that Dwight Yoakam song. Oh. I bet you I'll figure it out.
Okay.
And it'll be so romantic because it's about your lupus.
Yeah.
And you'll point at me and you'll go, that's my husband. That's my husband playing to 10 people who aren't paying attention. Anyway, so it was the lining around your lungs, and that was a bummer because I remember sitting next to you and you'd breathe and then not. And then you'd breathe. And I knew you could breathe, but at that point, too, I was lobbying to put you in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
because you couldn't walk. You would be so winded because breathing hurt so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm stubborn and didn't want to do that. So
I'll be fine, Wazowski.
But
Wazowski.
Yeah, what else? I don't know. And then but then once it kind of started affecting my kidneys, then I've had pleurisy a couple more times since then, but for the most part, it just likes to attack my kidneys. But at the same time that it attacked my kidneys, then I would start getting rash too, like on my face.
They call
and
it butterfly rash.
Yeah,
right?
That's kind of a lot of people get that first, but I didn't have that at all when I was first.
And it was kind of like rosacea, but it was in a shape. Yeah, you had red on your cheeks.
My cheeks, and I would get it on my upper arms, and I still get it on my hands sometimes, especially in the winter.
But that's kind of gotten better. But then as that stuff kind of got better, then it really hit your kidneys. Was that when we were we were still living in Southwest Minnesota in Steen, and you had gone through. So it's funny because actually, I'm going to send this to Rob Stott's mom, Yvonne, because she has rheumatoid arthritis, and she had shared something about having to have having to have chemo treatments.
Oh, yeah.
So they have to have it. Rheumatoid arthritis people have to have chemo treatments, but you had how many rounds of, how would you say one full treatment is a round, or does a treatment have multiple rounds? I think a treatment has multiple rounds, correct?
I don't know.
But anyway, you've had multiple
have,
chemo treatments multiple times over the last
I would
decade.
have like 6 treatments. Initially, it was once a month for 6 months, but now and it was a larger dose. So I did that once.
And they're like, it's called Cytoxin.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, what's the generic name? Cyclophosphamide. This sounds like something they would literally poison rats with. and then they're getting you hooked up, and the lady puts on this backwards biohazard gown.
Yeah,
I can't have this touch my skin. Okay, it's going into her body, but it can't touch your skin. Anyway,
it makes you feel great. But and then the last I've had it 2 more times, but then it was 6 times every 2 weeks. I would have. So I had 6. So I've had 18 chemo treatments.
18
basically.
doses.
Yeah.
But that's over the course of a few years.
The first one was in 2012 and 2013. And then the last 2 have been in the last few years since the last 4 years since
I'm going to say
Zoe
rounds.
was born.
So you've had 2 rounds since we were back home again, back in Montana.
Yeah.
Since 2021, you've had 2 different rounds of, and it's again, there are several, I'm going to say there's several treatments in a round, but
yeah,
I don't know. Uncle Kelly, if you're listening, you can correct me.
I don't know.
But you've had multiple chemo treatments, and it's always a bummer.
Yeah. But what was I going to say? I don't know. Not very fun, but I know that it's not near as high of a dose as someone that would have cancer, but it's the same thing.
Same stuff.
It just lowers your immune system, and that's my problem. Is my immune system is so overactive that it attacks itself, and so it helps to slow it down.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's a question I get a lot from people because they might be too timid to ask you.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if somebody has some kind of disease you don't know about, just ask them.
Yeah.
There are nice
people.
Yeah. There are nice ways you can ask. But anyway, people ask me, well, how come she has to have chemo? That doesn't make sense. How does that, just like you said, it knocks your immune system down because your immune system's overactive, so it kind of gets things back to normal. But
yeah.
I mean, when your kidney function, wasn't it down below 12%?
No, it was at like 12. But really, like once you're at 15, you're basically in kidney failure.
And then what stage of kidney failure? Because
I'm in like stage 3B. I think.
You still are?
Yeah.
What was it when it really got low? Was it like stage 4?
It was probably in stage 4. I don't know all
it was
the
something
stages
like that.
very well.
But
I think there's like 5 or 6 stages. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But like I think I'm technically in 3B because I have diminished function as well as a lot of scarring in the last kidney biopsy that they did. They found a lot of scarring. I think I've had like 4 or 5 kidney biopsies.
yeah, and it's so funny because the first couple, they're like, do you want to watch? Do you want to be in there? And I'm like, oh, okay. And they take this giant, like 6-inch or so needle that's thick.
Yeah.
I mean, a thick needle. And then you realize that the needle has little claws that when they pop the trigger on the end of it, the claws dig into your kidney and grab a piece.
Grab a little chunk.
And so they grab the chunk and they show it to me, and I'm like, no. And I think one of those times we were at a Vera McKinnon in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
Great hospital. I wish we could go back there. But anyway, they showed me the piece, and I went, I gotta go get it, Pop. And I took a walk. But here's stage 1 and 2 kidney failure represent mild kidney damage with normal or slightly reduced function. Stage 3A and 3B indicate mild to moderate loss of function. So that's good for you.
Yeah.
Stage 4 shows severe damage.
Does it have the EGFR on there?
And stage 5 is kidney failure requiring dialysis or transplantation. We were at the doorstep of stage 5.
Yeah.
We were getting set up for you to do home dialysis.
I actually saw the surgeon to get where I was going to do the dialysis where you do it at night while you sleep. So you're hooked up to this machine and it does the dialysis while you sleep in it. But I had to get like a tube put into my abdomen. And so I went and saw the doctor, but at that point my function had started to increase. So that was a surgeon that I saw. And then, my doctor's like, well, just go see him and then we'll kind of see if it continues to go up. We'll just hold off for now. And then it continued to go up higher than he expected it to ever go again. So just based on the scarring that they saw in my biopsy.
What was that number you were asking me to look for again? It was
EGFR.
EGFR. What is that again?
That's like the percentage. Basically. Yeah. It's not a true percentage of what kidney function I have, but it's close.
Stage 1 is EGFR 90 or greater. Stage 2 is EGFR 60 to 89. Stage 3A is 45 to 59. Stage 3B is 30 to 44.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's where your 3B. Yeah. Stage 4 is 15 to 29. Stage 5 is less than 15. So you were in stage 5.
Yeah.
At 12.
Yeah.
At 12, you were in stage 5. And we have had this problem where you ignore how sick you are, and then I have to be home while you're in the hospital freaking out. So, and freaking out doesn't help, but also we're finding that the way we were raised, you don't always express your illnesses, or you don't talk about when you feel bad, which is, I know you can talk about when you feel bad too much and people just come off like big babies, but it is important to communicate. I mean, that's stage 5 kidney failure. So they said, well, you can't have your dogs. And that was like your biggest concern was if you're going to do home dialysis, you have to have as sterile of an environment as you can.
Yeah.
You can't have your dogs in your room. There's no way I could have slept in the same bed as you because it would have been all the machinery and I would have been
awake all night.
Yeah, like I would have had to have a block of wood to bite down on. But anyway, it's really hard. And I think our friend Jack Hoodinga, retired pastor, he told me, oftentimes the disease is almost as hard on the caretaker because you're just watching it and there's nothing you can do but help the person be sick. And I've had that where, you're in the hospital with it was high potassium.
Yeah, I'm like, because my kidney function had gone so low, and then I was on a medication that kind of causes you to hold on to potassium, and so I just had like way too much potassium in my body.
Which can lead to heart failure.
Yeah, we didn't know that. But I was feeling really weird, like my muscles were being really spazzy, and so I called my doctor, or I messaged him and said, hey, I think I need to have some labs done because I just feel really off. And then I just, went after school and got those done. And then a couple hours later, a different kidney doctor called and was like, hey, you need to go to the emergency room right now. And I was like, okay. And she's like, your potassium is in like almost lethal or fatal or whatever you call.
So you could have died. That's why I keep telling people, like, my wife could have died 2 years ago. And people will always kind of glaze over and go,
the potassium has like something with controlling your muscles. And so since your heart is a muscle, it can basically stop your heart.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm
I
just
know it's
giving
good.
you
I'm
PTSD.
but I'm just reliving it.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Yeah, I don't wish that on anybody, that type of disease, because you never really feel great.
No, and there's just a lot of random inconveniences. Like you're not really, like, the sun can cause flare-ups of things, and so I got to stay out of the sun. Like last Sunday we were out in the sun for a while, and the rest of the day I was just exhausted.
Yeah,
just pooped, and so I always wear hats. And
you are not a day walker.
No, wear hats and have sun protective stuff on, or lots of high sunscreen, SPF, high SPF. So And just other, I don't know.
Yeah, you just don't think about it. Do you still wear gloves when you drive? Like
No, I should.
UV gloves?
I should. I have them somewhere.
Yeah.
They got kind of like,
Ratty?
no, just like in different places since
Yeah.
we've moved, and I need to find them and wash them and start using them again.
Yeah, I wonder where they're probably shoved in your car door.
Probably.
They're probably shoved in all 4 different car doors. But we wanted to talk about this because people ask so many questions, and part of what we would like to do, at least with our family and friends, is raise awareness. And my family and your family have both been really supportive and always asking how you're doing and trying to understand what it is. But we just hope that more people will understand what it is, and it's not a fun disease, and it can take your life. We always kind of root for Selena Gomez because she's a celebrity with lupus. And, I saw this thing a while ago. It was so discouraging. She posted some picture of herself in some outfit that was kind of skimpy, and all these middle-aged men were commenting on how she let herself go. And I just want to go down. I want to make that into a hit list and just say, you guys, this gal has a debilitating disease. She can probably barely move half the time. Why don't you shut your yaps?
Yeah, and a lot of times I know that, I don't know if she's on it all the time, but I know sometimes she has to take prednisone like I do. And prednisone obviously is a steroid, and it makes you hungry and it makes you gain weight. And so it's just really hard to keep weight off when you're on that. And and a lot of times you hurt, like running hurts. I haven't, like, other than, little tiny jaunts to run and get something, I don't know that I've actually run a mile in a very long time.
It only hurts me when I run.
Yeah, it hurts a lot to run. Like my hips and my knees and my ankles all hurt. And so it's just hard to, get motivated to go when everything hurts. Go out and exercise. I try, but
my favorite my dad moment pertaining to your disease was within the last couple years. So he saw somebody come ask you how you were doing, and this is a person who perpetually is interested in people not feeling well. Wink, wink. And Dad goes, "How do you think she's doing? She always feels bad. That's always the answer. Val never feels good. She hasn't felt good for 20 years. What the heck?" It's just so funny because it has bothered him. And like now losing your mother-in-law, my mom, to a different type of disease. It's hard when you lose function. And anyway, but we wanted to visit about it because it's really affected it's affected everything in our lives.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard because, like, I'd love to have more kids too, but the doctor's like, it was funny because this time I went to the doctor and I was just telling him how I was just complaining about something, and I said, we don't qualify for, they wanted me to take this medication. I said, we don't qualify for the assistance to get it because it's really expensive because we make like just too much. And if we had another kid, then we would qualify. And so he was a little scared because he thought I was trying to tell him that I was pregnant, but obviously I'm not. But they really don't want me to have more kids because it would damage my kidneys.
Stay close to the microphone.
Sorry.
Lupus does not disable you from getting close to the microphone.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you. Oh, my lupus. And the funny thing is you never use it as an excuse. The only time I've ever seen you take off work is if you're throwing up a lot or if you're in the hospital. So you don't use it as an excuse. You get out of bed every morning at 6 or before. Mm-hmm. You go to school, you teach your kids, you come home and you're tired. And I think we've got a pretty good balance of like when you come home, I usually just say, sit down and shut your mouth.
Yeah. I just feel bad because the hard thing for me is I want to like play and do fun stuff with Zoe when I get home just because I've been at work all day and away from her, but it's just hard because sometimes I just don't have it. So I try and do other things that maybe we can do sitting or.
And she's a good sport. She's always happy when we're just all together. But those are things that I'm hearing because we talk about lupus all the time, but we more talk about symptoms or how you're feeling day to day.
Yeah.
And but those are things that it has taken from us and taken from you.
Yeah.
We would love, Zoe keeps pretending that she has a sister, and we would love for her to have a sister. And then, then people will say stuff like, well, why don't you just adopt somebody? Having someone in our family who just adopted somebody, you don't just adopt somebody.
Yeah, it takes
it's a lot, and it's a lot of money, and hats off to them for the sacrifices they've made. But, it takes away your ability to have any kids in some cases. For us, Zoe was a miracle baby, and even in that regard, she was a high risk. You were a high risk pregnancy. They said you were a geriatric pregnancy too, which I thought was funny.
That was funny,
but she was in the hospital for 21 days. You were in the women's center for 8 days.
Yeah.
It was hard. She was in the NICU, and a lot of that's an outgrowth of having this disease.
Yeah, because of my kidneys regulate your blood pressure to a certain extent. And so I have high blood pressure. And so then I was kind of like more susceptible to getting preeclampsia, which I did, I guess. And then, so then she came at 34 weeks.
And she's very impatient anyway, so.
Yeah. But yeah,
there was that.
We didn't think that we'd be able to have any kids, or we weren't sure because I had already had some chemo treatments, and that can cause you to be infertile. And so that's why. What?
No, the rheumatologist didn't say it in this way, but he said the chemo treatments can basically fry your eggs.
Yeah.
But there was a few left in the chamber.
Yeah.
And we're super grateful to have the child that we have. Because we have friends and we know people that biologically can't have children, and there's a lot of hurt there for them. But yeah, it's ultimately we do feel very, 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 I use the word lucky because when you say blessed, you just sound like a homeschool. So, and not, hats off to you homeschool moms. I don't care. But anyway, you hurt my feelings. I homeschool. I don't care. Have fun.
If we didn't have good Christian school, I'd homeschool, but...
We would. But anyway, what I mean is, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. We're lucky. We know that luck isn't a thing, but I say we're lucky because I prefer to say that. And, God has been faithful when your kidney doctor or nephrologist, for those in the biz, said, I don't know how this happened. I don't know how your function went from 12 to 40 something.
Yeah, actually at one point went up to like 50 before I started some other medications again, but yeah.
But we had hundreds of people praying.
Yeah.
At least hundreds. Mm-hmm. So we believe you were healed miraculously, and if you want to disagree, come fight me. You know where I'm at. But yeah, it's affected every element of our lives. I was going to ask you this. What do you think the best way to ask somebody with any sort of disease, but in your specific situation or whatever, how would you want to be asked about it?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm never really offended if someone asks me, or even someone that says like, hey, why do you wear a hat outside all the time? I would just tell them, or hey,
like maybe don't say it like Jimmy Fallon's EO character.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, not like that.
Come on, girl.
I don't know.
Why do you wear a hat all the time?
Yeah. Or usually people are like, "Oh, your hat's cute," but I'm like, "Are you just saying that because you think it's weird that I wear a hat?"
That is so good for you. That is so cute for you.
But I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. People ask how I'm doing, but not really that often, I guess, unless they notice that I'm limping or something. Sometimes I will be if my knee is really sore or something.
If you really want to put a sock in someone's cereal, just tell them how you're doing when you're doing bad and watch them go, da, da, da. Like, how are you doing? I feel horrible. I'm in pain every day. How about you? You almost want to say that sometimes. You'd never say that. If I had it, I would.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just ask. It doesn't bother me. Kids will ask stuff, and I'll just explain it to them.
It's not that hard to understand. My body attacks itself. My immune system attacks itself.
Yeah, because kids will ask me stuff sometimes, and I'm like, oh, well, I have this, and so that's just why I do that, or whatever. I don't know. Can't think of a specific example, but
Yeah, but you tell me stories, and everyone has been nice, but I always err on the side of ask.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about it, I mean, this is kind of a weird example.
I'm going to have like a ton of people ask me how I'm doing.
Hey, hey. And they give you that sorrowful, like that empathy look. Hey.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah. And really, I've been, for the last, I don't know, 2 years, has it been since I was in the hospital?
Yeah, I mean, technically it's in remission.
Almost
has been for 2 years.
I've been feeling pretty good for the most part. Every once in a while I get the sickness that is going around, but I've been on an injectable medication, and I think that has helped along with my other medications.
I thought you were taking it so you'd laugh at more of my jokes because it's called Humira.
It's not Humira.
Oh, it's not Humira?
No.
Hold on. Let me remember. It's not Humira.
That's for rheumatoid arthritis.
That's a different one.
But it's the same
I think we know
type of
someone
thing.
who's, so I guess it kind of is like that. Zoe's been doing that lately.
Yeah,
she's been responding to us going, da, 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 which is funny because my mom taught other grandkids that. I don't think Zoe may have done that with my mom because that was one of the few things mom could, da, da, ba, ba, ba. Yeah. Anyway, but.
Well, it's similar, but it's
what's it called again?
For lupus.
Benlysta.
Benlysta,
you magnificent fella.
Give me.
It was named after Benlysta, originally founded by the Germans. They called it Santiago, which of course in German means.
But I think that's why my rash has gone away too.
Yeah, it has helped.
It has.
Yeah, and they have thrown you a deal on.
Yeah, that we qualify. I actually get it for free, and it's like. I think it's like $5,000 a shot, and I give myself one once a week. So,
and then thank you to FedEx for leaving it out on the step when we're not here.
Well, and like it's supposed to get here overnight, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days, and so it has to be refrigerated. And so, yeah, then they waste what is that $20,000 in that box? So
they must be doing all right.
They have to replace it, I think.
But we're grateful. I mean, they've been really nice. So you do, I think another thing you notice when you have a disease like you have, and something I've noticed is how caring and how considerate and how eager to help a lot of people are, especially people in the medical world. Like I was always impressed by your doctor at Avera McKinnon, your rheumatologist, because he'd be looking at your case off hours and asking colleagues about it. And
yeah, he'd talk to other people because I guess I'm weird, and most people have like their worst symptoms right away, and mine took like 8 years to actually start having bad symptoms.
Baptism symptoms. It's very bad. deep in lupus.
No, I was going to say the only person remember the nurse when I got my first Cytoxin? And she was just really mean.
Name, birthday, name.
When they had
the first treatment, you had to stay overnight in the hospital.
Yeah, because they didn't know how I'd react, and we lived like an hour away from the hospital, and she was just really not very nice, and I felt bad for being there. So he just kept saying, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm sick.
Yeah.
She told me I wasn't sick. But anyway, it was funny because we're there, and we're freaked out because it's chemo. So you hear chemo, and you think this is extreme. And then she comes in there. Their reverse hazmat suit, like I just mentioned a while ago. But I already said it.
And then they put all their gloves and everything in like a hazmat bag after they take it off.
You're like, don't pee on anyone.
Yeah.
Don't they say like your pee is going to be toxic? Yeah, like flush your pee twice.
And
then I remember saying, well,
children in your house?
Well, I can't drink out of the toilet anymore. That shoots that dream of mine that I've always had. This was just the time I was going to start drinking toilet water, and you're telling me I can't? I thought this was America. But so we've seen, we have seen Brother Caleb's calling me. Should we do a little teaser? You're live on the Rubecast. What do you have to say for yourself?
Armin and farmin'.
Armin and farmin'?
Farmin' and
yeah.
Well, we're recording right now, Caleb. So when can we expect you? This always feels like Howard Stern. So when he said that horrible thing to you, what did you think? I just dug it up so I could make you sad. No, Go ahead.
He touched me.
He hurt me. So when can we expect you on here, Caleb?
Well, I'm hoping to do an episode next week. It's supposed to rain and ruin my Billings trip.
Yes. Well, I'll call you after.
On the cast with.
You're on Val. We're talking about lupus. Hey,
Oh, cool.
can you say the thing that you said when you and I were struggling with having to take our cuckoo pills, and you said how Val inspires you to man up and take your.
Usually when I'm given any kind of an RX and I'm on the ropes about it, I'm like, you know what? My sister-in-law has no choice, and she probably takes 10 RX pills that make her feel like shit. So you're going to suck it up, and you're going to take this 10 milligram whatever, and you're just going to do it.
Caleb's on the podcast for 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I have to mark it explicit.
Oh, no.
It's okay. We're not. I'm so proud. But like you've been one of.
Calling in from the Dornbosch quarter. I'm farming.
Are you up in the field?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's what I was going to say too, is you've always been extremely supportive emotionally with Val's illness. You always ask how she's doing, and yeah, it's just been, yeah.
Well, lately I've had a little bit of joint pain in my fingers just because I think I'm getting older, and I'm always just like, I just can't imagine it. I've got 2 fingers that hurt, not a whole body.
Then Val used to say, it felt like I jammed my whole body today. Like, you jam a finger.
What happened to you? Complete body jam.
All right, brother. Well, I'll call you later, okay?
All right, see ya.
Yep, love you. Bye.
Love you too, bye.
That was really good timing. I think it'll come through because I've played phone speaker into.
I think your dad called one time.
I should have thought that. See, at that time I had it plugged into the recording thing, but this is just the speaker. But I think it'll come through.
I think so.
But so we've seen people, like we've seen family, friends, church people. This was kind of an interesting thing too, because when you first were really dealing with stuff and chemo treatments and everything, we thought that we should keep it private, and that was the dumbest thing we ever could have tried to do.
Well, I don't know if we wanted to keep it super private. We just didn't want to be talking about it all the time because, I don't know, some people do that and it gets annoying, but
they use their disease to have Eeyore syndrome.
Yeah, I try not to be that way. I don't know.
You're not.
Hopefully.
Well, you're just open and honest about it, and you're the toughest person I know, because I've seen you give birth to a human child. When they were going to give you your epidural when you were induced, and they're like, "Hey, this is you. If you're ready to support your wife, that's fine. But a lot of guys pass out. It's a pretty big needle." And I'm like, "She's had 4 kidney biopsies. I think we'll both be okay."
And a liver biopsy. That one was worse.
Yeah, breathe out so I don't puncture your lung.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying doctors' names because I don't know if we're supposed to do that. Do you remember the one doctor when I said, "Hey, could I get a photo with you? You've just really helped us out so much." And he's like, "No."
Yeah.
It's like, you guys, we see you guys a lot, and you mean a lot to us, and you have had good doctors. You have good doctors here.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, my family has a somewhat adversarial relationship with Bozeman Health just over the years, but you have had very good doctors here.
Yeah.
Very good. There's a lot of doctors that aren't good. They're no good. They don't cure lupus, but if your doctor wanted to, she probably could. Or it's he now. It's a he. I'm so sorry.
Both he's.
2 he's. Mm-hmm. He-men of medicine. But yeah, so we've noticed that just the consideration of medical people and really empathetic doctors.
You're the word person, not me.
Some good nurses. I mean, your nurse in Sioux Falls, whose name I also won't say. I called her when we were in the thick of it, and she kind of helped me.
Yeah.
And anyway, and she was so awesome. Yeah, but so we've noticed that just the blessing of people being considerate, the blessing of people, there I'm saying blessing, it's a good word though, the blessing of people helping us out, the blessing of people praying. And I really believe people prayed you into being healed. You can't take that. No one can take that away from me. Not that you'd want to, but I'm just saying to anyone listening, I know that you were healed miraculously. There's no other explanation other than God healing you.
Yeah, because we actually saw a specialist in Salt Lake too, and they had really no ideas what else to do.
That guy was cool. But he
Yeah.
had said, hey, it really looks to me, looking at the paperwork, like your Bozeman doctor has a handle on it.
Yeah.
I approve of everything he's doing. And, I remember when we were in this stage 5 kidney failure, and your HERE doctor he really felt bad, your nephrologist. And I think I put my hand on his shoulder, and I said, we get it. This is not your fault.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like, really? Because I think they get, I mean, in a rich, entitled town like Bozeman.
Yeah, they probably.
Why can't you cure me? Why can't I buy it?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
no,
okay.
they've been really good.
Blessing of, you're starting to get tired. I can see
okay.
that. But the blessing of people helping us, people being so caring and having sympathy and empathy for you and both of us. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget when Pastor Jack came to visit one of the times you were in the hospital, and he talked me through, like, what if this doesn't go good? Yeah. And that was so helpful. The people who come to you when you are desperate and you are at your lowest, those people you remember those times, and you appreciate it so much. And I think a lot of times people run away from you when you're going through a hard time. Those people who run into the burning building, so to speak, you'll remember it forever. And I guess I would encourage our listeners, be the person who runs into the burning building, be the person who has the awkward conversation, be the person who goes and visits at the hospital and you're not sure if it's going to be well received or not. Just go and make it short, but go visit, walk into it. Like, be tough. I mean, these people who deal with this disease, their lives are not fun, and you can give them hope when you come to visit and you love them and you care for them. So we've seen the blessings of people caring.
Yeah, and especially like if you are in the hospital, half the time you're just sitting there by yourself. So
looking at a wall.
Yeah, so or flipping through
I've
the TV
watched
channels.
this rerun 40 times now.
Yeah, and so it just gets boring. So it's great if anybody comes. I mean, I was sitting...
Don't put your hand in front of your mouth.
I was sitting in the hospital.
I'm going to hurt myself.
What?
I'm going to hurt myself. No, you're sitting in the hospital. Keep going.
And I had randomly, a while back, I had signed up to I don't know, for this Gideon's thing, the Gideon's Bible, because I was going to try and you can buy Bibles through them. Anyway. And the Gideon guy randomly called me, and I talked to him for 20 minutes.
Was it Mike? Mike Styron?
I think it was.
That guy's awesome.
And I talked to him for a long time because I was just there's nothing else to do. So this guy called me randomly, and he was telling me about some conference that was happening, but I was just hey, I have nothing else to do. I might as well sit here and talk to this guy on the phone.
But he's awesome.
Yeah.
And he's gone through some things. I'm going to have him on here. But anyway, so I want to get to the next.
Sorry, that was kind of a tangent.
That's a great tangent because it just shows the blessing of a call or a text or an actual in-person visit.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've noticed that's been a huge win or blessing or whatever high point in the illness and in the serious times is humor. Mm-hmm. We laugh more than we cry probably. Mm-hmm. And if we didn't laugh more than we cried, we'd cry more than we'd laugh, and that wouldn't be very fun. But when you had that nurse who was mean to you in the hospital the first night you had to stand there, and then when she would leave the room, I'd go, "No, you got it. Stop being sick," and then we'd just laugh.
Yeah.
And so the humor, the fact that you have a sense of humor about it, and we just have to have a sense of humor about it.
Or times when we had to have chemo and there were people on the other side of the curtain and
that had colonoscopies.
Or that was the kidney biopsy.
What was that one guy on the other side of the curtain? And he's like, hey, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
He was part goat. Correct. What's the noise that a goat makes?
I don't know. But I don't know. There are just different times. There are just interesting people that were getting some type of infusion at the same time as me. And it was always just kind of okay.
They're usually kind of...
people really loud talking and you're can't we just whisper or...
So I said to Jerry, I'm in here having chemo. Ah!
You're like, all right,
Like-
cool. There's another person. This is only a curtain.
Yeah. There's another time where I had to get these rituximab things that they thought might help and didn't help at all. It just made my hair fall out really bad.
Yeah. So, what is it going to do? Well, there's literally zero benefit, and it'll probably make your hair fall out.
They thought it might help, but it didn't at all. And remember when they were trying to do the IV and
The lady freaked out.
yeah,
And she reminded us of another lady that we know that would always freak out.
Yeah.
It was an endearing thing, but when they're sticking an IV into your veins, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
and then another nurse had to come do it,
mess
right?
And you had to leave.
Well, it was you had a vein Old Faithfuling all over the hospital room, and it was like in the movies where someone gets nicked in the artery with a switchblade or something. It's going spurt, and I'm like, I gotta go. I don't know. I don't feel so good. But the sense of humor in it has really. So, by the way, goats bleat. They bleat. So there's that
bleeding.
goat guy. He was half goat, half man. He's on the other side of the curtain. They had just done an experimental procedure on him. I think he got dehorned. And he's going blah, 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 like that. And we were scared. We didn't realize that they got into that type of cryptid medical practice there, but they had done it.
I don't think
No,
that
I'm just kidding. But he sounded like that. There was one time, I think it was after your liver biopsy, you're in the recovery bed, and there's that guy farting like crazy because he had a colonoscopy. So we're sitting there, and it's like
kidney biopsy.
I think it was a liver biopsy.
Oh, maybe it was. It was because
Yeah.
my shoulder hurt really bad.
And he's like, they're going,
Yeah, well, I know I had.
That was terrible.
I
I
just
finally
had.
asked the nurse what was wrong with them, and they're like, "Oh, it's a colonoscopy."
Well, I know I had to wake up at 5:30 this.
all right. Ben, they can't help it, but can you put us somewhere
But
else,
when
please?
you don't know what's going on, you're a little disturbed.
Like, bro,
'Cause
calm
it's-
down. Put a
It's
cork in
literally
it.
like a bed that you're laying on, and then there's like a foot on each, well, maybe 2 feet on either side, and then there's a curtain, and then the person's just on the other side of the curtain.
And the top of the curtain has like mesh, you
Yeah.
know? It's like, what's that for? So that the farts can get through?
I guess.
Not that a curtain
I don't know.
could stop a fart. But so, yeah, sense of humor, folks being considerate, folks supporting us. You get to the end of the podcast, and it's really hard to hold down the burps. But this is the tradition, and we're doing pretty good. We're having good mic discipline. Yeah. So, I don't know. Do you have any parting shots, like advice for people that maybe have someone who's dealing with this, or advice for people who are dealing with this?
I don't know. I guess just being understanding, because, sometimes you say you make plans and then you have a really bad day and you're like, nope, I can't do it today. Sometimes you have that. Just don't feel like going out of the house, or, some people have it a lot worse than I do too, and they just can't get out of bed.
Can't move. A lot of severe lupus patients will go on disability because they can't work.
Yeah, and thankfully I've been able to, for the most part. Last school year, I went down to 3 days a week, and I do think that somewhat helped
you heal
too,
up.
just having the extra rest. But I went back to full time this year, and it's gone well.
Stay close to the
other
microphone.
than a few sicknesses, and
Yeah, but those were just like regular illnesses. So
Yeah.
we're grateful. So you were talking about being understanding, because we'd had it in years past. We've been in ministry. Stop doing that. Stop fiddling.
sorry.
You've been my teammate for 20 years
Yeah.
or more than 20 years. 20 years married this August on the 5th. I know the date like it's the back of my hand. Easy. 8505. But anyway, we've been in ministry together. I'm the pastor, you're not.
I know.
But no, I know you know. It's just funny because you're the one who convinced me of the position that I have on that. That's another time. But people would kind of lay it on thick if we couldn't make it to stuff, and I'd say, look, I'm staying home with my wife. I want to take care of her. I want to be by her. I married her because I happen to like her. I like spending time with her. I like watching TV shows with her. That's what we do.
Yeah.
You like going on drives and stuff, but being understanding when someone has an illness, it's frustrating for you when they can't make it. How do you think it feels for them?
Yeah.
So be understanding.
That's I don't know, kind of the main thing, or just maybe asking, is there anything I can do to help? Or, yeah, I don't know.
So the other thing too, I wanted to ask you is, is there advice you could give? Because I've run into young people who have lupus. I've run into all kinds of people that have lupus or autoimmune stuff. Or, you could really extrapolate it out to any other disease. What type of advice would you give?
I would say, listen to your doctor is a good one, just because, I don't know, I think it has helped a lot for me to stay out of the sun. And I'm not a super outdoorsy person, if you know me anyway.
Well, that's providential because
to a certain extent, that's why.
We hiked down to the lower falls at Yellowstone last summer.
Yeah. Well,
to some other falls.
Was that kind of fall? Yeah.
Yeah. But but you go on walks but listening to your doctor and kind of the practical advice, like I think in that would be, don't push yourself too hard.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The second thing I was going to say is listen to your body. Like if I don't know, there's some days where I just make myself really busy and then the next day I pay for it a lot.
And everyone kind of has that, less amplified, but if you have it where you've heaped too much on yourself, you've made yourself too busy. This goes back to what Josh and I talked about a few episodes ago: is say no and slow down. Don't heap your plate full of stuff.
Yeah,
because I've seen
say that, and you're like, why did you sign up for
Why
this?
are you doing 8 things? Like, just don't do this. Yeah. Like the people at church will survive if there's no cookies, or that's fine. That they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Or whomever, like you're going above and beyond. Well, you don't always have to go above and beyond. Sometimes you just need to be even below what a regular person would do and just accepting the reality. Do you think that'd be another thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Accepting what you can and can't do and not getting upset about it. I think so.
It is upsetting, but I think you've learned how to cope well with that because you know your limitations. I've hit a wall physically, and that wall is not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Maybe down the road, you and me could talk about bipolar disorder. Yeah. Because I've said between the two of us, we make one functioning person. You have a mind that's healthy, and I have a body that is somewhat healthy.
It's pretty.
So we're like a 75% functioning person together. That's why marriage is so important.
Yeah.
You leave your mother and father and hold fast to your husband or wife, and you make one super mega person, kind of like Voltron,
Well,
It's like that.
Yeah.
We have that. I told somebody, I think I told a group of folks at a funeral that we have this refrain, and maybe we've talked about it on the podcast. I can't remember, but we have this refrain when we're on our way to something serious or, health crisis. Though the earth give way, though the earth gives way, we know that God is God. And, man, talking about it gets me emotional because we get so caught up in the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah.
The every day to day. It's like, man, he's in control and you just have to accept it.
Yeah.
And we would not be where we are without him.
Yeah.
It's just the flat truth.
Mm-hmm.
You've been more faithful over the last 20 years with devotions and prayer than I have. I think every night you're reading your Bible, you're reading a devotional book. And that's always thought, all right, I got to level up here. Val's consistent in prayer and scripture reading. And I think that's a part of it too.
Yeah. I think that keeps you encouraged and positive. Because I don't know, I think I've been asked before if I get depressed about it or anything, but I really haven't. And I've read too that a lot of people with lupus deal with a lot of depression, but I really haven't had an issue with that. And I think part of it too is like I've talked to a friend that has lupus as well, and we both say, like, our spouses sometimes will say, you got to slow down, and maybe you should just do part-time or whatever. But I feel like for me, and she also said for her, it's almost worse to just sit, because then you think about it more, and when you're not busy, you just dwell on things and how this hurts or that hurts. Whereas if you're busy, it kind of keeps your mind off of it I don't. That's just in my experience.
So finding the middle ground.
Yeah, not
for you,
overwhelming
like,
yourself.
Your job is enough.
Yeah.
And it's funny because lately you've been coming home going, I wish I could make supper. I wish I had the danger. And I just go, no.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Sometimes, I mean, I just make a pile of meat and we eat that. But just accepting. This is something that is interesting. And I've used the thing that my dad taught me driving tractors years ago. Just focus on a fixed point and your line will be straight. But it works with dizziness, supposedly. To minimize dizziness when spinning, focus on uniform speed. Fix your gaze on a spot and gradually increase your spinning speed. But anyway, in this case, your spinning speed in life, it feels like your life is spinning out of control. But you focus on the fixed point, and that's God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the community that he's put around us.
Yeah. And then the job I have to do, both at home as a wife and mom and as a teacher.
And those are ministries.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I was such a dork. This past year was the first year I realized that, your job is a ministry, teaching in a Christian school. Like, that's kingdom work. And it's all kingdom work. But focusing on that, like, okay, we don't focus on the things that are seen. Man. I'm getting emotional. We focus on the things that are unseen.
Yeah.
So all those things, just the advice for people. How do we recap? Don't get overly discouraged. Listen to your body. Well, I mean, you can't help how you're discouraged, but don't wallow.
Yeah.
Don't wallow. Listen to your body, but also
in Texas they say waller.
Don't waller. Don't waller. What's your daughter's name? Landry. Landry Dallas Wilson.
Yeah. I had a coworker once ask me, she was texting somebody, how do you spell wallerin'? And I'm like, I think it's wallowing.
So for you Northerners, a Texan naming their daughter Landry would be like a Chicagoan. Is that the word? Naming Chicagoan?
Chicagoan? I don't
San
know.
Diegon?
Yeah.
But it would be like a Chicago person naming their daughter Ditka. Ditka Rain, get over here. No, but it's just funny. So, let's see. I want to recap. So, from your words, from your mouth, just let's recap the advice for people that are dealing with this.
Listen to your doctor.
Yep.
Listen to your body.
Or if you're in Minnesota, listen to your body.
Your body. Sorry, I
and
have
corn.
a little bit of Midwestern
Don't eat corn.
accent.
No, but you didn't. No, you didn't. Listen to your doctor. Listen to your body.
What else do we say?
We
be willing to accept help because I'm really bad at that.
Yeah,
I didn't say that, but
be willing to accept help, and that was don't heap too much on yourself.
Yeah.
Like don't do extra.
Yeah.
I think sometimes with lupus, you feel like that kid who can't go outside because she's got a broken arm, or something or you can't play or do this because in this way your whole body is kind of broken, and so not giving in to that and focusing on productive things. I mean,
I think that is kind of a better way of saying what I said.
Whatever, staying consistent with. I mean, our personal recommendation would be you stay consistent with your time with God. Mm-hmm. You hear his voice through his word. You talk to him. Mm-hmm. I think that's good. And not wallering. Not wallering. I'll never forget your tough Dutch girl thing you said. I'm like, are you sure you want to go back to full time? And you go, well, I'd rather go work than sit at home and think about how bad I feel.
Yeah.
And we've been really, really lucky to have the flexibility of schedule that I can have our daughter 2 afternoons a week. It was 2 full days a week for a while, and was 3 for a while, wasn't it? Did I ever do 3, or was it only ever 2? Okay,
right.
2 afternoon. I lose track of time. But then our all-star Grandma Cheryl Clumping, she has Zoe 3 days.
Yeah.
And we're so grateful for that.
Yeah, that allows me to do my thing. But she is with me 2 mornings a week too.
Yeah, so
I'm
is
her teacher. So
yeah. and then you can tell when you come home, she's ready to have mom time. Yeah. So, but we've been really, really lucky to have that.
Yeah.
It has been a blessing. And
Definitely.
so I think I'm just going to have to use the word blessed to just take that word back from Christian influencers. You remember that? Did I ever show you that Sunday Cool Teas video? And the guy's like, they're making fun of Christian influencers. And they're like, look at that water. I swim in it. Jesus could walk on it. Do better.
Was it like a youth pastor one?
Yeah, they're
I
making
think
fun of Christian
I think I
influencers.
saw it.
Well, I think that's pretty good. We're about to an hour, hun.
Yeah, if you have questions, you can always comment, right?
Yeah, you can. You can comment, and
We can talk about it more.
yeah, we can. We
or
can.
if we're talking about something else, we can answer them.
And we have all kinds of topics we can visit about. It's like, we got so many ideas, There's so many ideas.
All kinds of activities.
Yeah.
Got so much room.
I got permission to use power tools. We're going to turn our beds into bunk beds, or as Zoe used to say, bonk bed. We could turn our beds into bunk beds. Maybe we should do that.
Maybe we should. You can be on top.
Yeah, I'd have to be on. But here's the funny thing is I could still feel all your fish flopping around. Hey, folks, have you ever wondered what it's like to have a dying tuna fish flopping around in your own bed? I know what it feels like. Val can somehow get air from a laying down position.
Part of my problem is I get
but you're sore. You're sore
after laying certain way
hey,
for so long.
There's some bonus advice for those of you with diseases that make you sore. Get a good memory foam bed.
Yes.
Makes a big difference.
I have a hard time sleeping on spring mattresses. That makes me more sore.
Oh, it's only 10 o'clock, 10:16.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I think we got it.
Okay.
I think we got something. Love you.
Love you too.
Yeah, I got super emotional this one. All right, folks. Well, we're so glad that that you decided to listen, and we hope that this helps you and maybe will help you help others in your life. If you're not the one dealing with the disease, you could help your loved ones cope and deal with the disease. Just supporting them, praying for them, being with them. Any final words, Val, for the podcast, not for your life? Any last words?
I don't know.
Remember the Tombstone Pizza commercial? What do you want on your tombstone? Pepperoni?
I don't know.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Well, anyway, May is Lupus Awareness Month. And today, May 10 is World Lupus Day. Mm-hmm. So did we miss Put on Purple Day?
Yeah, we did.
It was supposed to be today.
My mom remembered, and I totally forgot. I was just busy today.
But if you want to put on purple and share it with me, you can on social. I'm on Instagram. I almost changed my account name to the Rubecast because more people like that than my music. But anyway, but you could share that, or like if you have some stories about a disease or someone you've lost, or we've both lost a parent in the last 4 years to different things, and we're always game to hear those stories. So put it in the comments if you're on Spotify, or if you know us, hit us up in Messenger or with a text, and maybe next time we talk about something like this, we could just kind of share some of those stories. Yeah. All right. That's it. Thanks for listening. Okay. We appreciate you all just hanging out with us for this. Have a good week. It's been 2 weeks since I've recorded a podcast. I was going to have Jacob Roundtree on here, and he had a stingray barb in his toe and had to have surgery. So Jacob, hopefully you get better soon. I think he's coming back on. Still working on my friend Mark, but he's a real busy guy too. He had to cancel a while ago too, just because of work stuff. So anyway, my favorite guest.
So you got me.
No. My favorite guest is my wife because she's my favorite person. All right. Have a good one, folks. See ya.